Ladies and gentlemen, when a woman ignores you, don't let your emotions become your master. Let your principles speak first, because the way you respond in moments of silence defines the kind of man you are becoming. Most men panic when attention is withdrawn. They chase, they beg, they plead, not realizing that every desperate action lowers their value in the eyes of the one they're trying to win. A real man understands that value does not demand recognition. It simply exists. If she doesn't see it, that doesn't make you less. It only exposes her inability to perceive depth. When someone ignores you, don't mirror their immaturity. Reflect your confidence. Your silence must be dignified, not cold bitter. You don't prove your worth by convincing someone to notice you. You prove it by continuing to grow, to lead, and to build yourself whether they notice or not. Attention is temporary, but respect is earned by how you carry yourself when ignored. Don't post for validation. Don't text out of frustration. Don't let your emotions write words your wisdom will regret. Instead, disappear into discipline. Focus on your purpose, because nothing confuses those who overlook you more than your progress without their presence. You see, being ignored is not rejection, it's revelation. It reveals what you were to them, and it reminds you what you must become to yourself. You were never created to chase affection. You were designed to command it through confidence, clarity, and consistency. If a woman ignores you, don't act out. Act up, rise higher. Show that your worth doesn't fluctuate based on someone's attention span. Show that your peace is not for sale. Show that you're too focused on becoming a man of purpose to be distracted by temporary emotions. Because the moment you stop chasing, you become the standard. And when you become the standard, you stop trying to fit into anyone's approval. They begin to qualify for yours. So when she ignores you, don't react. Respond with growth. Upgrade your life. Elevate your mindset. Sharpen your vision. And soon, you'll realize that the best way to respond to silence is to let your success speak volumes. Because kings don't chase. They build. They lead. And they attract not by noise, but by presence. When you understand your value, you stop negotiating your dignity for attention. You stop running after people who can't even see what you bring to the table. You realize that what truly belongs to you will meet you at your level, not drag you down to chase it. Every time you chase what doesn't recognize your worth, you're silently telling yourself that your value depends on their validation, and that's a lie. Value never runs after recognition. It simply is. A diamond doesn't chase a buyer. It waits for the one who knows its price. So when someone overlooks you, don't shrink to be noticed. Grow to be respected. Because value doesn't need to scream. It simply stands and everything lesser falls away. The moment you stop chasing, your energy changes. Your silence becomes attractive. Your focus becomes magnetic, and life begins to match you with what truly aligns with your worth. So remember, never run after those who walk away from your light. The ones who can't see your value aren't meant to keep your presence. Stand firm. Stand tall. Let your worth speak for itself. It is the quiet language of strength, the decision to rise above noise instead of drowning in it. When you choose silence, you are not surrendering, you are mastering control. You are choosing to respond from wisdom rather than react from emotion. In a world where everyone wants to be heard, silence is power. It unsettles those who expect you to beg for attention. It confuses those who feed on reaction. It teaches those around you that your peace cannot be purchased with provocation. When you choose silence, you're not avoiding confrontation. You're elevating the conversation to a level where only maturity can exist. There is dignity in restraint. The person who can hold their tongue holds their throne. Sometimes your silence speaks louder than your defense ever could. It says, I know my worth. I don't need to prove it. It tells the world that you are not desperate for validation. You are anchored in self-awareness. Weak people use noise to feel powerful. Strong people use silence to remain unshaken. Your silence says you refuse to argue for space in someone's life who has already shown you they don't value it. It says your time is too precious to waste explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. Silence doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough about yourself not to waste energy where it's not respected. It's choosing peace over petness, clarity over chaos, and discipline over drama. It's a declaration that your emotions are your servants, not your masters. So when you go quiet, you're not retreating, you're rising. Every moment you hold your peace, you're teaching yourself patience, power, and purpose, because silence is not emptiness. It's full of strength, wisdom, and self-respect in motion. When someone withdraws, it reveals what they truly see in you, not what you are. Their distance is not always a reflection of your flaw. Sometimes it's a mirror of their perception. People don't always leave because you did something wrong. They leave because their capacity to value you has reached its limit. When someone pulls away, it's not a verdict on your worth, but exposure of their vision. They may have seen your presence as convenience, not purpose, as comfort, not connection. Their withdrawal simply unmasks the truth that they were never seeing you for who you are, only for what you gave them. Don't let someone's absence make you question your essence. You don't become less valuable just because someone lost sight of your worth. Diamonds don't stop being precious when ignored. They simply wait for the right hands that know their price. So if someone chooses to step back, don't chase them. Let them. Their distance is the evidence you needed. It's proof that their loyalty was conditional, their perception shallow, and their presence seasonal. When people withdraw, it clarifies the stage of your life you're standing on. Some can only handle the early version of you, not the evolving one. Some are drawn to your light until it starts revealing their shadows. Others are comfortable with your weakness, but intimidated by your strength. Their withdrawal is not your failure, it's your filter. It cleanses your circle so you can continue your journey with those who see not just your face, but your faith, not just your image, but your integrity. So don't mourn every exit. Sometimes God allows distance to protect your destiny. Sometimes separation is the silent promotion that moves you toward peace. Remember, people only see you through the lens of their understanding. But you must live according to the truth of your design. Let them go. Wish them well. And keep walking in confidence. Because who they saw was their version. Who you are is far greater. The best response to being ignored is growth, not revenge. When people overlook you, they expect you to crumble, to react, to chase a validation. But the moment you choose to rise, instead of retaliate, you reclaim your power. Growth is the silent answer that echoes louder than any confrontation. It says, you didn't break me, you built me. Revenge feeds your ego, but growth feeds your destiny. One keeps you trapped in the past. The other pushes you toward your purpose. When you decide to grow, you turn pain into progress and rejection into redirection. Every time you invest in becoming better instead of bitter, you upgrade your value in ways those who ignored you can no longer reach. Being ignored can feel humiliating, but it's also clarifying. It shows you where not to pour your energy again. It teaches you that you don't need to force space in anyone's life. You can create your own. The best form of closure isn't confrontation. It's transformation. Let them wonder how you healed so quickly, how you smiled through silence, how you became unstoppable without their approval. Your growth becomes your revenge. Every time you improve, you make their silence irrelevant. When you build your discipline, master your emotions, and elevate your standards, the very people who ignored you will have to look up to see where you've gone. And by then, you won't need their attention. Your results will speak for you. So when you're ignored, don't waste words proving your worth. Just become undeniable. Work in silence, evolve quietly, and let your success announce what your pride never has to say. Because revenge seeks reaction, but growth demands respect. And respect lasts longer than attention ever could. People test your reaction to measure your maturity. The way you respond under pressure reveals more about your character than any words ever could. Some people don't provoke you because they hate you. They provoke you because they want to see what controls you. They want to know if you're led by emotion or guided by principle. Your reaction actually becomes the proof of your discipline. And your calmness becomes the measure of your growth. Every time you respond with peace instead of panic, you teach others that you are not easily moved. Maturity isn't how loud you speak. It's how still you can remain when everything around you demands a reaction. Immature people explode to prove a point. Wise people pause to protect their peace. The person who can stay calm in chaos is always the one who leads it. When you refuse to react, you take away their power. Those who try to trigger you only win if you respond from impulse. But when you choose composure, you silently disarm them. They realize they cannot manipulate what they cannot move. Your peace becomes your defense. Testing is part of human nature. People will challenge your patience, your ego, your boundaries. But maturity is not avoiding the test. It's passing it without losing your integrity. You don't need to explain, argue, or prove your worth. Your restraint speaks volumes. Sometimes silence, a simple smile, or walking away is the most powerful answer you can give. Your reaction tells the world how much mastery you have over yourself. Every time you stay composed in the face of disrespect, you graduate to a higher level of self-control. Remember, storms don't shake mountains. They only reveal which ones stand firm. So keep your composure, not because they deserve it, but because your maturity does. Your dignity must always speak louder than your desire. Desire can blind you, but dignity will guide you. It's easy to chase what your heart wants, but real strength is found in walking away from anything that asks you to betray your self-respect. The moment you let desire silence your dignity, you begin to lose yourself piece by piece. What you gain from desperation will never satisfy you as deeply as what you earn through discipline. Sometimes you'll want something or someone so much that you'll be tempted to compromise your standards just to keep it. But anything that costs you your self-respect is too expensive. If you have to beg to be noticed, plead to be loved, or shrink to be accepted, you've traded your crown for crumbs. Never let your emotions make you forget your value. What's meant for you will never require you to dishonor yourself to have it. Dignity speaks in silence when desire shouts for attention. It's the voice that says, I know what I want, but I know who I am more. When you let your dignity lead, you walk with peace even when your heart feels the pull of longing. You stop chasing people who confuse your presence for privilege. You stop begging for validation that should be mutual. You stop lowering your standards just to be seen. Desire is powerful, but without dignity, it becomes dangerous. It makes you forget your worth and blinds you to boundaries. But when dignity stands taller than desire, you attract what respects you instead of what tempts you. Every time you choose self-respect over instant gratification, you reinforce your value to the world and to yourself. So, when the heart wants something that disrespects your worth, remember, nothing is worth losing your peace, your pride, or your principles. Let your dignity do the talking, because when it does, the world learns how to treat you. A king doesn't beg for attention. He commands it by his presence. True authority doesn't need to announce itself. It's felt the moment it enters the room. A man who knows who he is doesn't chase acknowledgement because his confidence speaks before his words do. You can tell when a man has mastered himself, he doesn't need validation to prove his worth. His energy carries the weight of discipline, clarity, and purpose. And that is what commands respect. Attention that must be begged for is temporary, but respect that's earned through presence is lasting. A king understands that power isn't in chasing approval, it's in mastering composure. He walks with quiet strength. That's easy. Knowing that his actions make statements louder than his speech ever could. He doesn't compete for notice, because competition is for those still unsure of who they are. When you know your value, your stillness becomes magnetic. A king's presence is built in private before it's seen in public. It's the result of consistency, patience, and inner work. He doesn't post to prove or speak to convince. He lives in such a way that his life becomes undeniable evidence. The reason people notice him isn't because he demands their eyes, but because his focus demands their respect. When you beg for attention, you hand over your power. You teach others that your worth depends on their recognition. But when you carry yourself like royalty, you remind the world that respect is not requested. It's earned. The difference between those who chase attention and those who command it is identity. The first seeks validation to feel significant. The second already knows he is. So walk like you belong wherever you go, not because of arrogance, but because of assurance. Let your peace, your discipline, and your vision create an aura that speaks for you. Because when you carry yourself like a king, you don't have to announce your presence. People feel it. The moment you stop chasing, you start attracting. When you release the need to force outcomes, you make space for what truly belongs to you. Chasing comes from fear. Fear of being forgotten, fear of losing control. That's easy. Fear that you're not enough. But attraction comes from peace, the quiet confidence that what's meant for you will find you when you're ready for it. The energy of desperation repels, but the energy of self-assurance draws everything toward you. When you chase, you operate from emptiness. You run after people, opportunities, and approval, hoping they'll fill a void only purpose can satisfy. But when you stop chasing, you return to yourself. You begin to see that you never needed to pursue love, respect, or success. You only needed to align with them. The more you grow, the more your presence begins to pull the right things into your life. You attract what mirrors your mindset. When your focus is on becoming rather than begging, life starts rearranging itself in your favor. The same people who once ignored you begin to notice the glow of your growth. The same doors that once seemed locked begin to open effortlessly, not because the world changed, but because your energy did. Chasing is exhausting because it means you're running after what doesn't recognize your value. Attraction is peaceful because it means what's meant for you is drawn to your strength, not your struggle. You no longer have to convince anyone of your worth. Your growth does that for you. So stop chasing and start becoming. Become so focused on building yourself that you no longer worry about who's watching. Let your evolution speak for itself. Because when you stop running after things, the right things begin to run toward you. Rejection is redirection, not humiliation. It's not the end of your story. It's the universe turning the page for you. When someone rejects you, they are not diminishing your worth. They are simply making space for something better, aligned with your future. Too often we take rejection personally, as if it's proof that we're not enough, when in truth, it's often protection in disguise. What feels like loss is sometimes the removal of what have limited you. Every rejection carries a message. This isn't your door. And instead of standing there knocking in frustration, learn to walk away with grace. Because while you're grieving over who said no, there's another opportunity being prepared that fits your destiny, not your desperation. The pain of rejection is temporary, but the lessons it leaves behind are priceless. It teaches you resilience, patience, and faith in timing. You are not defined by who walks away or what doesn't work out. Sometimes the very thing you thought you needed would have distracted you from your purpose. Sometimes being left out is how you're set apart. Every closed door is a gentle push a different direction, one that leads you closer to your true calling. Rejection hurts, yes, but humiliation only exists if you let your pride interpret it that way. Mature people understand that not every no is a failure. Some are divine detours. When you shift your perspective, rejection becomes a teacher, not a tormentor. It stops wounding you and starts guiding you. So hold your head high when something doesn't go your way. Don't let bitterness take root where clarity is trying to grow. You didn't lose. You were redirected. You didn't fail. You were refined. What's meant for you won't reject you, and what rejects you was never meant to stay. Act like the prize, not the pursuer. When you know your value, you stop running after people to prove it. You stop auditioning for love, attention, or approval, because you understand that you already carry something rare. The prize never chases, it waits to be recognized. The moment you realize your worth, your posture changes, your energy shifts, and your silence becomes more powerful than your effort to be noticed. People treat you according to how you treat yourself. If you act like a pursuer, they will see you as replaceable. But if you carry yourself like the prize, they'll know that your presence is a privilege, not a guarantee. This isn't arrogance, it's awareness. The prize doesn't beg to be chosen. It knows that the right eyes will see its value without persuasion. When you chase, you tell the world you're incomplete. But when you stand still in confidence, you tell the world you're enough. You stop trying to fit into places that don't value your essence. You stop over-explaining your worth to people who only see your surface. Acting like the prize means being secure enough to walk away from anything that doesn't recognize your shine. The prize focuses on becoming better, not being noticed. It invests in growth, purpose, and peace. It builds such a strong foundation that whoever comes close must rise to meet that standard. When you act like the prize, you attract people who are ready, not needy. People who come to add value, not extract it. So hold your head high, not in pride, but in certainty. You don't chase what's beneath your level. You prepare for what matches your value, because when you finally understand you are the prize, you'll stop running after attention and start drawing in respect. When someone ignores you, the world expects a reaction. They expect you to chase, to plead, to prove yourself. But what if the most powerful response isn't a reaction at all? What if the answer lies in rising above, in holding your ground, in becoming more than the noise that surrounds you? Listen carefully, because this is not advice. This is strategy. Strategy. This is principle. This is the way the people who succeed, who lead, who inspire, navigate the storms of neglect and disregard. Stop for a moment and consider this. Attention can be demanded, but respect cannot. Recognition can be sought, but worth cannot be manufactured. What people see in you is often filtered through their own understanding, their own limitations, their own fears. And when someone pulls away, when silence fills the space you once occupied, it is not a judgment on your value. It is a revelation of their perception. You must never allow their inability to recognize greatness to dictate your self-worth. Never. Every moment spent chasing after someone who does not acknowledge your presence is a moment wasted. A moment where growth could have taken root, where power could have been cultivated, where focus could have been sharpened. Growth is the most elegant response. Growth is the quiet revenge. Growth is what turns rejection into fuel and silence into an opportunity. When ignored, you are given a choice. Will you crumble or will you rise? Will you shrink, or will you expand? Will you react or will you respond with mastery? This is where the difference between the ordinary and the extraordinary is revealed. Ordinary people react. They plead. They beg. They lower their standards. They compromise dignity for attention. And in doing so, they teach the world that their value is negotiable. Extraordinary people, however, understand that true power is quiet. True authority does not scream. It simply exists True influence does not chase, it attracts. It pulls toward itself those who are ready, those who are ready, those who are aligned, those who are capable of seeing the brilliance that cannot be diminished by ignorance. Imagine a river. The water flows steadily, persistently, unstoppable in its direction. It does not plead for the rocks to move. It does not demand that the fallen leaves make way. It flows around obstacles with patience and purpose. And in doing so, it shapes valleys, carves canyons, and nourishes life along its path. Be like the river. Move with intent. Move with consistency. Move with the unshakable belief that your value is not contingent on anyone else's recognition. Every silence, every withdrawal, every moment of being ignored is a test. It is a test of patience, of character, of self-mastery. It is a moment designed to separate the reactive from the resilient, the impulsive from the intentional, the weak from the wise. When faced with neglect, most people respond with anxiety, with desperation, with noise. But the strongest response is calmness. The strongest response is presence. The strongest response is the unspoken, undeniable truth that you are not defined by anyone else's attention. You are defined by your purpose, your principles, and your persistence. Understand this. The world is not always ready to recognize brilliance when it sees it. Sometimes the ones who matter most are too blinded by their own insecurities, their own assumptions, their own distractions. That does not make you less. That does not make you wrong. That simply means you are being prepared for a stage larger than their vision. The moment you stop chasing validation, the moment you stop pleading for notice, is the moment you begin to attract alignment. People, opportunities, respect, all of it begins to flow toward you naturally because your energy no longer signals lack. Your energy signals completeness. Your energy signals confidence. Your energy signals self-respect. There is a principle that cannot be denied. Value attracts value. If you pursue that which does not recognize your worth, you are wasting the energy that should be devoted to building yourself, your future, your life. The law is simple. When you operate from scarcity, you will receive scarcity. When you operate from abundance, from purpose, from authenticity, the world responds in kind. Stop running after what cannot see your worth, and instead become the person whose worth cannot be ignored. Silence is a tool. Patience is a weapon. Self-respect is armor. When you are ignored, do not fill the void with noise. Do not fill it with excuses, explanations, or panic. Fill it with growth. Fill it with discipline. Fill it with relentless focus on your purpose. Because in the moments where others walk away, you are given the rarest of gifts, time. Time to improve, time to reflect, time to strengthen. Do not waste it. Do not surrender it. Do not allow it to be diminished by reaction. Use it to build, to sharpen, to rise. When a person ignores you, the choice is yours to be reactive or to be radiant, to be desperate or to be dignified, to be small or to be sovereign. The world will try to pull you into chaos, to tempt you into desperation, to lure you into compromise. Stand firm. Stand tall. Stand silent if necessary, but always stand resolute. Let your presence, your progress, and your principles speak louder than the noise of neglect. Understand this as well. Rejection is not defeat. Withdrawal is not humiliation. Ignorance is not evidence of inadequacy. Every no you receive is simply redirection. Every silence is a lesson in patience. Every absence is an opportunity to focus on what matters most. Your growth, your power, your mission. Rejection is the compass pointing you toward the life, the people, and the success that is truly aligned with your destiny. It is not punishment. It is preparation. It is refinement. It is the clearing away of what is unworthy to make room for what is inevitable. The people who attempt to provoke you, to test you, to ignore you, are measuring your maturity. They are watching to see if your self-worth is tied to approval, if your dignity is negotiable, if your presence is conditional. Do not fail that test. Respond with composure. Respond with confidence. Respond with unwavering belief in yourself. Because the moment you demonstrate control over your emotions, the moment you refuse to be manipulated by silence, the moment you uphold your principles above desire, you send a message the world cannot ignore. You are unshakable. Remember this, a king does not beg for attention. A king commands it through presence. A person who knows their worth does not chase recognition. They attract it. They stand still while the world tries to pull them into chaos. They speak quietly while their actions thunder. They move with intent while others stumble in distraction. And the same principle applies to you. Stop chasing. Stop reacting. Stop begging. Begin commanding. Begin attracting. Begin living from a place of undeniable value. Your dignity must always speak louder than your desire. Desire is fleeting. Desire is temporary. Desire can make you compromise, make you plead, make you forget who you are. Dignity is eternal. Dignity is unshakable. Dignity is what keeps you standing when everyone else walks away. Guard it. Uphold it. Let it be louder than any want, louder than any craving, louder than any temptation to chase that which does not recognize your worth. Act like the prize, not the pursuer. Do not seek approval. Do not plead for attention. Do not sacrifice self-respect for fleeting recognition. The prize is patient. The prize is disciplined. The prize is consistent. When you behave as the prize, you attract those who are worthy of your time, your energy, and your life. When you behave as the pursuer, you teach the world that your worth is negotiable. Choose wisely. Choose power. Choose presence. And here is the final truth. The moment you stop chasing, the moment you stop pleading, the moment you stop allowing ignorance to dictate your value, you start attracting the right people, the right opportunities, the right respect, all begin to gravitate toward you. Because your energy has changed. Your focus has shifted. Your purpose has aligned. You no longer operate from scarcity. You operate from abundance. You no longer operate from fear. You operate from confidence. You no longer operate from desire. You operate from principle. So let this be your pledge today. Right here, right now. When ignored, you will not react with desperation. When overlooked, you will not respond with bitterness. When dismissed, you will not crumble with insecurity. You will rise with growth. You will shine with self-respect. You will move with mastery. You will walk in confidence. You will hold your head high. You will expand when they contract. You will attract when they repel. You will lead when they hesitate. The world will try to tell you that attention is power. The world will try to convince you that recognition is validation. The world will attempt to measure your worth by the eyes of those who cannot see. But you know better. You are not defined by who notices you. You are defined by what you build, by how you grow, by the integrity you maintain, by the discipline you practice, by the life you design. Your power is internal, unshakable, undeniable. And so, every time you are ignored, remember, this is not the end. This is a beginning. This is an opportunity. This is the moment to rise above mediocrity, to embrace your value, to command your presence, to live intentionally. Use this silence to craft your story, to sharpen your purpose, to fortify your character, to perfect your craft. Let every moment of neglect be transformed into momentum. Let every door closed teach you the skill of patience. Let every absence remind you of your independence. You are not a reaction. You are a force. You are not negotiable. You are essential. You are not desperate. You are distinguished. You are not defined by temporary attention. You are eternal in your principles, consistent in your growth, and unmatched in your pursuit of excellence. So rise. Rise in silence. Rise in strength. Rise in dignity. Rise in purpose. Be commands respect without demand. Be the energy that attracts without effort. Be the standard that others aspire to meet. And never forget, the moment you stop chasing, the moment you stop reacting, the moment you choose growth over despair, you become unstoppable. You are the prize. You are the force. You are the standard. You are unshakable. You are undeniable. And the world, eventually, inevitably, will have no choice but to recognize it. Thank you.